welcome to this special series of NASSCOM Spotlight, where we are looking at She Means Business, Tale of Women's in SME. We have a fantastic, very special person with us, Deepika Saxena, President and CEO, NetEdge Computing Solutions. Deepika, without any much ado, I will just jump onto questions because I think our viewers are really waiting to get that insights from you that we're looking at. To begin with, what inspired you to start your tech company and how has your vision evolved over time?
Okay, so first of all, thank you for having me today. When I started, at the time, I started around 1992. That was the time when there were not too many startups or anything. The main motivation behind starting my own was to be my own boss and to have the flexibility in timings so that I could devote time to my family also. My son was born around the same time. And I wanted to have the flexibility of doing whatever I wanted. So I wanted to work on cutting edge technologies at my pace, So that was really the main motivation. And we were very lucky because although at the time there were many challenges, unique challenges like no internet, no mobiles, not even laptops, but then there were opportunities for innovation. And since Indian economy was just opening up, so I just thought I had worked enough. Let me just give it a try. That's how I started.
No, that's actually, when you spoke about challenges, and there is just this one thing that came on me. Sudha Murthy keeps talking about her journey as being an engineer and saying that she was probably the only woman in the entire college and how she went through that journey. Is there anything that you would also want to share, given you were, you started this much early and we didn't have so many women in that field back then?
Yeah, so see, I did my post-graduation from IIT Delhi. And before that, I did my mathematics graduation in St. Stephen's College. So there were not too many women at that time. And even if you see the whole IT industry at the time, it was kind of in fancy, and there were not too many IT professionals. But I think I did a right choice. I was working in a very good company, and got to work on good projects, and things turned out pretty well. So you also talked about the vision. So really speaking, if you see, at the time I didn't quite have a clear vision of what I wanted to do. It was just like whatever came our way, and I would say I was very lucky because we got some very good projects. Like we had a project from Thailand, taxation, which was to implement in the whole country the distributed network, which was a huge project. So the learning was a lot because we were able to work with people from all nationalities and working on advanced tools and everything. So after that, once you work on a good project and you make relations, then things start happening because you get good references and then get more projects and so on. So I would say our company, as the name implies, NetEdge, so we have actually tried to be always on the cutting edge of the products. So, I mean, if you really see, I think we have been very lucky because we got very good opportunities, and it just kept building up with more and more projects. And I would say we were far ahead from the time, like in I think around 2003. We were doing the forecasting kind of things, forecasting fuel prices using the weather data. Those are the kinds of things which are happening right now. So, people are working on the models and so on. So I think we got very good opportunities, and we got to learn a lot from our clients because we were on the technology side, but the exposure was into different domains, and that was excellent.
So you spoke about cutting edge solutions, saying that you've always been cutting edge, trying to be cutting edge in your company. So today, how do you see edge computing and IoT solutions transforming businesses operations for SMEs in particular, if we talk about, and what specific challenges do help companies overcome when implementing these technologies globally?
See, first thing is IoT and edge computing, etc. The way they have over a period of time, as you see, the speed is improving. First thing is edge computing means you are actually having, computing on the edge, which means you are not relying on the cloud infrastructure, which is excellent because that saves all the energy. It gives you more bandwidth. You can actually do all the compute on the edge, so that is excellent. And IoT also, as you see, IoT actually connects with the cloud. So we have now got used to Alexa and all those things. But these are, of course, some of these are just for entertainment, so on. But if you really see from the SME perspective, I think there is a huge potential because if you want to do anything in the remote areas, you can have these IoT enabled devices over there, and you can get notified sitting somewhere else and know what exactly you have to do. So I think they have a huge potential for SMEs. Already you can see factory 4.0. So all these sensors, IoT enabled sensors, are being used in manufacturing industry and so on. There is a huge potential, and people are innovating. New solutions are coming. So definitely quite a lot to look forward to.
I think you spoke about new solutions, Deepika. In the next 3 to 5 years, do you see, what are the kind of tech trends do you believe will significantly impact us?
There are already, for example, right now there are no code or low code developments. So now SMEs can even create their own custom solutions, right? And which can, because see, earlier they were always dependent on technical manpower, and they were a little bit of scared of technology and so on. Now they're not, because so many things have become so much easier. I mean, to the extent that programmers feel they might lose their jobs, So, and there are of course many more technologies like quantum computing is there, blockchain, cryptocurrency. This is so much happening, and all these technologies, they are getting refined every day. And if you really see, the new technologies are actually, very positive, giving very positive comforts. Not only comforts, but things like in health tech, if you really see, there is so much advancement, new drug discoveries, or diagnostics are becoming better. So there is, I would say, because of this huge, internet connectivity as well as all these devices, the quality of life is becoming better, and there is a lot of advancement, and there is a lot of innovation happening. That's what I would say.
Yeah, along with innovation, there is a lot of confusion for our youngsters, in terms of so many technologies, going around this, that, as a leader in education and training, what are the core skills you believe individuals should focus on acquiring today? It's not only the students, but also people who are already in profession, particularly in the areas of AI, IoT, or data science.
See, there are two parts to it. One is, of course, technology, and the other is problem solving skills. I think there is a lot available on the internet, and obviously everybody needs to, because all these technologies are new. Not everything can be taught in college, so you have to have a mindset that you have to do continuous learning. You have to learn about the new technologies, and you have to have a plan for yourself. So you can't be just randomly just browsing internet, and once watching a YouTube on blockchain, and next thing you're watching is something else. So you have to have a plan. I think NASSCOM has done very well. You have a future skills platform, and you have a SSC also, where we are also teaching some of those IoT and AI courses over there. So there is quite a lot. I think mostly the students have to first find a guide who can just tell them this is what is of your interest to you. So don't try to just follow anything and everything. Like data science is good for the people who are actually in maths and who are more towards machine learning and so on. But then there are so many people who can achieve so much with the Gen AI itself. So it is, and because of these technologies, it can all be customized for the students. So it doesn't have to be that in college one teacher is teaching and you have to just follow that only. There is so much you can do on your own.
In your organization, Deepika in particular, and also with the experience that you have, where do you see AI taking all of us, especially the advent of AI, and where is the space for humans in it? I mean, as an organization, as an individual, what are your views on it?
See, first thing I would say, AI is a good thing, but don't follow it blindly. Okay, there is a lot that we are getting out of AI, and especially I would say, see, I studied AI sometime in 1989 or 90. Okay, at that time there was no internet, no data, Now, of course, there is so much platform available, and we have been using AI for a long time. However, since the time the Gen AI has come, people understand what exactly is artificial intelligence. Not all people understand the difference between artificial intelligence and Gen AI. So AI, of course, has a lot of potential, because everything where there is a routine processing, you can automate so many processes using AI. But eventually, I think the control still has to be with the humans, right? You can't totally rely on AI. There are so many places where AI is also making mistakes, because it is getting refined. So there are new models getting created. Everything is not already there. So definitely, and AI is improving. Like if you see the progress is tremendous. So from that perspective, I think AI is going to stay. It's not going to go away, and it's going to make our life simpler. Of course, there are going to be frauds and other things also happening with the help of AI and so on. But overall, I think AI is a very positive thing that is happening, but the controls have to be with the humans. So learning AI is important, but don't think that it is going to replace humans. That's how I feel.
Thank you so much. I think that is, all of these insights are going to be very, very helpful to a lot of people who are actually listening to this or will listen to this. I think in the end, I just want to ask you one personal question. Thinking back to your early days, what's one piece of advice you wish someone had shared with you? How would that have impacted your journey?
So first thing which I want to say, see, my company is 32 years old. Okay. So as I said, we were lucky. We got many good projects. We started our company in UK. We have our company in US also. So, I mean, the opportunities have been many. However, overall, I'm very satisfied with my journey. However, I think we made too many mistakes. Okay. We made lots and lots of mistakes. We failed many times. I think what because we were first generation entrepreneurs, we were more passionate about the technology. We did not quite have business sense, and we did not have any guidance either, neither from the family. I come from a middle class family where they would say jitni chadar utne paam philao. So we never went for any financial assistance. Whatever we were earning is what we were investing in the company. I was very emotionally attached to my company. I treated my company as my baby. Nowadays people are much smarter. They say, okay, if you have a company, just take it to scale it and then sell it off. That's what business is. So we were not very smart in business, I would say. So I think what we lacked was a mentor. It's very important to have a mentor. We did not have any mentor. But now, on the positive note, we have an incubation facility where we are incubating startups. We are mentoring the startups also. So there were mistakes that we did, which we hope that others won't do, so they can actually do things faster. So maybe we were a bit slower in our speed, but overall things have been well. That's what
Well,
I would
thank
say.
you so much. This has been so insightful. Thank you so much for this, and we wish you all the very best.
Thank you so much.